What is going on, garden fans? Welcome back to the Permaculture Homestead. In today's video, I am taking you out to Locklairs, the project farm in Gaston, South Carolina. Now, this video is a little bit longer than usual. That's for a couple reasons. First one is I'm only doing one video a month of the project farm. So I'm trying to pack as much information as I can in as much time as I can. I decided not to edit out any parts of this video. It's just a full clip from beginning to end, me walking and talking about the project farm. There's really a lot going on. It's a really diverse food forest out there, much more diverse than what I got going back here. So I hope you kick back, enjoy the journey. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up just right now, and enjoy the journey. God bless. Welcome back to the project site, garden fans. I'm going to give you the full walkabout tour only because I do this once a month. We are still preparing the land in our mandala vegetable garden. That'll be getting ready here as we come into spring. There's lots of things blooming right now, and I'm just going to give you a good glossing over, a whole overview of the whole place. We have a hedge of Elaeagnus, multifloria, and umbellata, both types, and interspersed in between each of these nitrogen fixing shrubs, we have pawpaws. And we have quite a few pawpaws. They are breaking dormancy right now. I've put them very close to the nitrogen fixers so that they act as a windbreak and some shade during the early part of their life. As these pawpaws get bigger and taller, of course they will be the dominant overstory species. So they're starting to break dormancy, show me a little bit of green leaf. All the Elaeagnus are breaking dormancy and getting pollinated heavily by all types of little mason bees and honeybees. I really like these flowers. This looks good here on the Silverberry. Pretty cream colored flowers, some of the first things to bloom in spring. And like I said, we've got some pawpaws interspersed in between each of them. And this is a new pawpaw I just planted this year. It's one of the runners from my property. And we've also planted out some more figs on our swale mound. So this entire food forestry setup on the bottom swale is a wind-breaking, shade-providing, nitrogen-fixing hedge with figs on the swale mound, and then we have pawpaws interspersed in between the nitrogen-fixing shrubs. So this is eventually going to be you pick, you pull style operation. All these figs here on the mound that are breaking dormancy will be a walk down the swale here, and you pick your fruit as you go along. And whatever time of year you're at is going to depend what you're picking. So obviously some parts of the year you're going to be getting figs, some time of the year you're going to be getting pawpaws, and some time of the year you're going to be getting blackberries and autumn olive and all that. Now this is all on the downhill, lowest portion of the property. The next swale patty, swale mound up, is starting to bloom out and look pretty good. Now we had real heavy clay soil here. We planted lots of blueberries. They seem to like it, believe it or not. Blueberries are breaking dormancy, starting to put on some nice bluebells. We've had a good amount of rain here for early spring. And provided we don't get another major frost, we should get a decent little blueberry bumper crop here. And there are blueberries all over the place. They're the dominant understory species for the bunch of trees we have. And the trees are, in some of them in full bloom. This is a mayhaw, Georgia red mayhaw. And here again, blooming out, white, multicolored blooms, a little bit of pink in there too. They're awfully pretty to see in early spring. They're getting pollinated. And like I said, the dominant understory species is blueberry. And blueberry and mayhaw, they can all handle very heavy clay soil, poor soil, waterlogged soils, clay-rich soils. These plants can tolerate these conditions. There's not a whole lot of maintenance going on out here. Here's another mayhaw blooming. And we have another mayhaw over here, also very slowly starting to bloom. All different varieties. We have Georgia red mayhaws, we have swamp mayhaws, a couple different varieties. Mayhaw is very similar to an apple, I guess, a crab apple. Elderberry hedge and understory of blackberry is doing great. We've done our job this winter to tip layer all of the blackberries, as many blackberries as we could. So we're trying to spread the thornless variety. And I have that patch of elderberry there because the swale patties thins out just a little bit. It gets skinny there, and it's lots of water in this area. You can kind of tell by all the greenery we got going on down here. This is a huge swale I'm stepping in and walking in right now. This is a very big swale. And up and down it, this is our third swale up, our third swale patty up. Couple similar things. We've got wild plums. These are Chickasaw plums, wild to South Carolina. These were literally pulled out the woods and planted here, runners were. And they're starting to bloom a little bit, get a little bit pollinated. The petals are falling off. Bees are coming and really frequenting all the plants out here. And then, just like downhill, on the uphill side, we also have more elderberry and blackberry canes blowing out. There are quite a few trees we're going to be replacing and replanting. Like I said, I brought in some of my pawpaws from my own property to plant out here. Here on the lower part of the hill, we got some jujube. Here's a jujube. We have a pomegranate that has some frostbitten leaves. However, it's still got some life in it and it's coming back, even though we had some kind of crispy weather where burnt out some of the leaves. This is a persimmon right here. Persimmon starting to leaf out, bud up. So here we are, early spring, Zone 8, South Carolina. I have about a quarter of an acre, maybe half acre here property that we're dealing with in Gaston, South Carolina. There's almost no maintenance whatsoever. We did all the swale digging and water harvesting so that we could do very little maintenance. We've set up this system, we planted, and we're letting Mother Nature do what she does best. This is another jujube, slowly breaking dormancy. Jujube really don't like to break dormancy until it gets really, really warm. So you can see that it's getting pretty warm here. We've had 70-degree days and maybe as low as 40-degree nights. Our last frost date is scheduled in a couple days here, believe it or not. So hopefully we don't get another frost. Here are two strawberry, pineapple guava shrubs that are going to continue to get large and big and take up a nice little space here between this jujube tree and a cherry tree not too far away. Here is another pomegranate. Little frosty leaves, but it'll come back. This is a cherry tree that we have blooming. This is the first year this tree has bloomed, so I'd be curious to see what kind of fruiting we get, if at all. Okay, all along the ground, we have lots of ground cover, garden fans, and we have goji berry, we have sea berry, we have all types of smaller shrubs underneath all the trees that are acting as our understory. Here's another goji berry. Okay, and further down this swale patty, this swale mound and patty here, we have other trees. Here's a pecan. Now we're getting into the nuts. We're getting to the top of the hill. We have a little bit more space to grow, so we started to intersperse some nuts. Another pineapple guava, and I know this blackberry is growing right through it, but the pineapple guava is a perennial. It'll live on. This blackberry will eventually die and we'll be able to move it out the way. Another persimmon, really breaking dormancy. So much diversity, so many different things. Here is a tangled mess of blackberry that really we should probably clean up a bit, to be very honest. We should do a little bit more tip layering to continue to spread this diversity. Tip layering also keeps the blackberry brambles a little bit shorter. You know, I don't mind that the canes grow 6 feet tall, but I do like to tip layer them to help spread the diversity, get free plantings, and also keep the understory exactly what it is, an understory. It's getting a little bit hectic near this mulberry tree that also is not just breaking dormancy, but starting to want to fruit out for us. We have quite a few different mulberries out here. We got Mystic Red, we got Pakistani, we got black mulberries, we got all types of things. Here, right next to it, is another one of those autumn olive, Iliagnus. This one is a multifloria. A little slow to get budding and blooming. Not too far away, we have a plum tree. I have fruit trees interspersed between a lot of the nut trees. More blackberry canes that also need to be tip layered a little bit. I'm kind of walking in the understory area of what's gonna be a big canopy of trees here. And it's already starting to happen, garden fans. I'm kind of excited to see what comes of this upcoming year. This plum tree is upwards of 15 feet tall, full flower. It's been pruned for the year. It's time to just let it go and see what it does. And I got a feeling it's gonna get very tall. Lots of blooms. Now it's about us keeping the pests off of them. Here is another Elaeagnus in very close proximity to an all-in-one almond tree. And this all-in-one almond tree, as you can see, is leafing out quite a bit. Not too far from that, we have a plum. So we have a plum tree, we have a nitrogen fixing shrub, and a nut tree, all very close together. And eventually the goal here is, you're gonna see it, a big 90-foot tall nut tree with a small fruit producing shrub and nitrogen fixing shrub underneath it. The ground cover out here is strawberries, and the strawberries are flowering. You can also see the pollen, pine pollen all over everything. It's pollen season, but we have strawberries budding up all over the place. This is the dominant understory. It's kind of helping suppress some of the weeds. It's helping suppress some of the wild blackberries. On the downhill side of this swale, we have another mulberry, and here again, it's leafing out, fruiting out, starting to set some fruit, throw out some fruit. And what I've been doing on all the swale mounds is planting elderberry. When I cut or prune elderberry, I stick it right in the ground. And what it does is it roots, and it's going to continue to help this mound, this swale mound, become a more permanent structure here. I'm going to use the elderberry to help solidify these swale mounds in the landscape. This is a loquat. Loquat do fairly well out here. This one's doing pretty good. If we can keep it watered, it might blow up. They grow very rapidly, Zone 8, South Carolina. I'm going to get my way up to the top swale mound and patty to finish out this tour for y'all garden fans. There's so much diversity out here. Lots of stuff growing on. I am on the last swale patty. Let me turn around here. Okay, this is it, and it's huge. It's a big, wide patty. It's probably about 15 feet wide. The swales here are further apart at the top of the hill. Like I've said, we've been sticking elderberry canes into the swales to start to make a small hedge on the swale mounds, solidify these as elements in the landscape. Once again, elderberry hedge, elderberry hedge, elderberry hedge, and that elderberry hedge goes all the way down the line here. Here is another mulberry. This is a mystic red, and it is starting to leaf out. Not seeing much fruit on it yet. Oh, here we go. Oh yeah, that's going to be a big piece of fruit. Lots of mulberries out here. As I look right now, 1, 2, 3, 4 different varieties of mulberries growing on this property. Here is another plum. This is an Ozark plum. It is slow to flower and slow to leaf out, even though it's here at the top of the hill and gets plenty of sunlight. You know, I've showed you some other plum trees out here on the property that are really blooming out. And what I like about this system right now is that not everything is blooming all at once. We're going to have a variety of fruits and nuts flowering at different times. This is an almond right here. Sorry, I lied. This is a pecan. That is a pecan, a nut tree. There is a pear tree over here. This is an Asian pear. Flowering. Okay, there are persimmons as understory shrubs all over the place. And even though some of them have been frostbitten, the majority of them are coming back to life and putting on some good growth. Okay, last we have a couple Chinese chestnuts on the property, garden fans. here's one, and I did not show you the other one. It's a little bit behind me. Okay, it's still dormant. However, at the tips, it's starting to bud up and want to get growing. This is great. It also has a nitrogen fixing Elaeagnus next to it. Here's another persimmon. Here are some of the hazelnuts, hazelberts actually. This is a hazelnut and a filbert crossed. Hazelberts. Here's one. Here's another right here. Okay, I got two of them. They're doing pretty good. More nuts. Here again, different variety of nuts. I have another two hazelberts, hazelnuts, filbert, whatever, right here. Here's another one and another one. This one is even wanting to catkin out a bit. This is the pollen producer right here. So these will produce nuts. They produced a few nuts for us last year. They're going to do even more nuts this year. And as these shrubs continue to get huge, they're going to produce even more nuts for us. Here's another jujube up at the top of the hill. That is starting to break a little bit of dormancy. Dominant understory out here, garden fans, is clover and chickweed, nitrogen fixing understory, ground cover, weed suppressor, and biomass accumulator. So here I am at the top of the property, garden fans. We do have a culvert system that goes all the way down. All the swales drain to this one point. This one point drains all the way down to the mandala garden. So any overflow in any of these swales comes all the way down the hill and feeds the vegetables. Keep in touch, garden fans. I really appreciate you watching. As always, this food forest is going to be amazing. This is going to be way different than my own personal property, which is only 2,000 square feet. This will be a food forest, a veritable food forest, with all types of different plants, producing in abundance as it continues to mature. If you haven't already, please like, share, and subscribe. Appreciate you watching as always. God bless.